Demonstrators gathered in the rain outside of Ellsworth City Hall yesterday to protest the Trump administration. This demonstration, organized by Fisherman Graham Plattner and Acadia Action, was one of 16 protests occurring in each of Maine's counties. More than 200 community members attended, including community leaders such as the Hancock County Democrats and local political figures. Some of the issues discussed at the protest included the preservation of constitutional rights, support for Ukraine, and protecting transgender Mainers. According to media coordinator Jerry Bowers, demonstrations like this are an important part of maintaining democracy.
I think it's really important that people feel that they can come out and be heard, that they can have solidarity when they come together and really share their concerns and belief in the Constitution and in democracy. This is really what democracy is all about.
We're told more protests will be held throughout